If I could describe the Get My Life tour in one word, it would be vulnerability. Showing up for yourself is so important. Welcome to the Get My Life tour. I'm your host, Lydia T. Blanco. Hey y'all, and welcome to the Get My Life tour. It is me, your host, Lydia T. Blanco, and as always, I am excited that you decided to show up for yourself. You all, it is a very difficult time that we are living in right now, and it is hard to get through these days without being outraged, upset, and just every other adjective associated with, being disheartened during these uncertain times. And really during a time where, Black people in this country are facing such turbulence. But I am so grateful for the Get My Life tour, and I'm even more excited about the opportunity for today's guest to come and bless us with tools and resources that will help us create, establish, and really be able to execute the visions we have for ourselves. And that guest is Miss L'areal Lipkins, who is a speaker, author, and entrepreneur, and the founder of two companies. I have been following this woman for quite some time now. We've been trying to coordinate this interview for, I don't know how long, but I'm so grateful that she has made time to come talk to us about how we can create a vision for ourselves during these uncertain times. Help me in joining L'areal Lipkins to the Get My Life tour. L'areal, welcome. Oh my goodness.
I felt like I was coming out on stage. I'm like, I need to take you with me when I do speaking.
Hey, take me with you. This is what the Get My Life tour is all about, right? I recently wrote about us not being tone deaf, and I cannot think of a more perfect time to have this conversation with you when a lot of our visions and just our thoughts are muffled. So I'm so ecstatic about you being here. And yes, that was the introduction that, you deserve. You are killing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. You're a speaker, an author, an entrepreneur. And I love, the title of your book, A Woman with Vision. That is so commanding of people's attention.
Well, that was the goal. I'm a big believer in vision. A lot of people talk about being a goal getter, and that's great. But there's a lot of people who have goals but they don't have any vision. And so I really like to talk about how do you not just have goals, but how do you make sure that those goals align with a bigger vision, bigger purpose for your life, so that you don't get to a place where you're accomplishing a whole lot, but you're not actually fulfilled.
Oh, okay. Look, before we jump into this conversation, because I know it's about to get real, based on what you just said, I gave your intro. You are now center stage, but in your own words, who is L'areal Lipkins?
I am a wife. I am a mother. So I have a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. And I am super passionate about helping women get out of their own way and really go for what it is that they desire. I feel like a lot of us are really good at being hype women for our friends, our family, our clients. But then when it comes to ourselves and going after our own dreams and our own goals and after our own vision, sometimes we play small. And so my purpose is really helping women get past their own self-limiting beliefs so they can start executing their vision. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
I love who you are in a nutshell and so much more. My goodness. I am a self-proclaimed, unsolicited hype woman and cheerleader for so many people. And for so long, that has gotten in my way. So I really appreciate you saying that and bringing that to our attention, because a lot of us get stuck in that place. Where do you think that comes from? And I sound like you're my therapist asking you this question, right? But, as someone who does the work, what have you noticed, and where does that come from in us to innately almost do that as women?
I think that we are naturally nurturers, right? So
Mm,
we have this natural innate ability to see things in other people, want to push other people, want to promote other people, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem becomes is when we don't show ourselves that same grace, that same level of support that we
mm,
show to other people. So I think it's a combination of just our natural tendencies to want to nurture, support, love, cheer other people on. And then I think the other piece of it is a lot of times we are raised to, what I want to say, like to play small, not to toot our own horn, not to self promote, is to be humble. And sometimes we think being humble means playing small. And
mm,
so we have this negative self talk that we can't get out of our own head. So I think the combination of those two creates the perfect storm, that results in a lot of us, like I said, cheering other people on. And then when it comes to our own dreams, our own vision, our own ambitions, we don't show up for ourselves.
mm.
And I think that's what holds a lot of women in particular back. And I can say that for myself. And the decision that I had to make is, when I had my first son, I remember saying, I don't want to be the parent that says, you could do anything. You could be the president. You could do this. You could do that. I wanted to be the example for my children. And
Mm.
so that has pushed me to not just be a cheerleader for other people, but to be my own cheerleader, to be my own hype woman, to
Yes.
really lean into those things that I want to go after.
Oh, you know what? You just hit the nail on the head. You really did. It is hard to show up for yourself when you do not have a vision, right? And you don't have any strategy or any goals associated with that vision. How are you helping women really figure out what that looks like for them in the work that you're doing?
I think a lot of women, have a vision. I think where a lot of women in particular struggle is having clarity on what it is that they want.
Mm,
Because a lot of times, especially in a social media fueled world, our vision can become unclear, and we can easily start pursuing things for the wrong reasons, or because we think that's the things that we're supposed to want, or the things that we think make us look or feel successful, versus the things that we truly want inside. And so when I'm working with women, I really work in three areas. One is really helping them get clear about what it is that they truly want, and understanding the difference between vision and goals.
mm,
And that vision is that long-term picture that you want. The goals are how you get there. And so it's important to get very, very clear about where you're headed. The other piece, which I think is what a lot of people are missing, is then how do you have that plan? Because
right.
Lydia, a lot of people will come to me and like, okay, I want to do this. I want to start that business. I want to write that book. I want to start a nonprofit. I want to travel the world, like whatever it might be.
Hmm.
But then I say, okay, so what's your plan to get there? And then that's when you kind of get the deer in the headlights look, because they don't have a plan to get from point A to point B. So what ends up
Mm,
happening is years go by and they look
right.
up and it's like, oh, 5 years have gone by and I'm still trying to chase the same vision or same goals because I didn't have a plan. And then the other piece is then how do you actually execute? There's people who have the vision, they have the plan, but then that fear and that self doubt and that lack of confidence and that poor mindset keeps
Mm.
them from actually taking action. And so that's what I really work with my clients on is how do we get clear about the vision? How do we create a plan? And how do we get you to have the right mindset so you'll execute and follow through?
That's so good. So it's almost like a formula, right? I
Uh-huh.
think we think about vision, and you also have worked with women on their vision boards, which we'll touch on, and I think is incredible as well. But there is a formula that you're speaking of. Like you are helping women implement strategy and figure out what their secret sauce is, right? And oftentimes they are the secret sauce. But when you speak of, a lot of us operating from a place of lack, and not being able to really work with ourselves and extend that grace to ourselves as we go for what we want, it is so key. I mean, you are speaking to me. I feel like at some points, in my journey, I've been all of those people, right? So you most definitely have called me out on my ish, but it is so important the work that you are doing. I have to ask you about vision boards over brunch. Can you tell us more about, what you were doing with that project and how it was really helping people show up for themselves?
Yes, I started doing vision boards back in 2009, and I got this job. And one of the first assignments, as part of my onboarding, was to create a vision board, which I thought like now is kind of mind blowing that they would even care about what my personal and professional ambitions were, especially as a new employee. But the only problem was they said, okay, create a vision board of your goals. So I went home that weekend and I just put together like this random collage of things that I wanted, things that I wanted to do. And I thought, okay, let me cross my fingers and let's see what happens. Expecting my whole life to look different, expecting to quote unquote manifest all of these things. And I did that same kind of process for 3 or 4 years and nothing was changing. And so I figured, okay, I'm hearing a lot about vision boards. Obviously, there's a reason that they wanted me to do this vision board, but how do I
Mhm.
create a vision board that actually works? So that's when I started creating this process, which led me to doing vision boards over brunch in 2015. So a lot of people started seeing this shift in my life, like, okay, well, she's making more money, she's paying off debt, she done bought a house. Like there was a lot of things that were going well for me. And people
Mm.
started saying, okay, what's different? Like, what are you doing? And so then that's when I started Vision Boards Over Brunch in December of 2015, where I started sharing the process that I had come up with that was actually helping me manifest the things that were on my board. And so
Mm.
I started hosting live events. And Lydia, it's been amazing because there's been so many women who have changed careers. Like one of my attendees, she wanted to be a nurse. The only problem was she had been a teacher for 8 years, and her parents had basically told her, like, you would be a fool at this point to switch careers, just become a teacher or stay being a teacher and maybe have ambitions of being a principal or something like that. But she really
Wow.
wanted to be a nurse, and she didn't get to walk across the stage because of the whole pandemic going on, but
Hmm.
she is now a registered nurse. And seeing the
Mm.
impact that you make in people's lives.
Wow.
I've had people who have written books and gotten married and bought homes and went back to school. And it's just
Wow.
amazing the impact that you can have in somebody's life when you can show them how to create a roadmap to make that vision a reality. It's one thing to
Mm.
create the vision board, but you have to have a process beyond that to actually manifest those things and make those things happen.
You know what? I am literally sitting here smiling ear to ear. There are so many people, who love us, right? Who support us and go hard for us, but they want to see us win in the ways they think that we probably would be best positioned to
Mm-hmm.
win. But what you're saying is strategy with that manifestation and belief is really what sets us up to win. And you know what? Let me not say what you're saying is because that's not fair. That's not what you said. What I'm hearing you say is that, being able to manifest, believe, and implement the strategy is what helps to set us up for success. That's powerful.
Yeah. And a lot of times, the people that are closest to us, they care about us, right? They want us to be quote unquote successful, but a lot of times that also looks safe. And so, to
Mm.
your point, yes, when you have a strategy and you have a plan, and not only that, but when you have a vision that really pulls you. Steve Jobs had this quote, and he said, when you have a vision, you don't have to be pushed because the vision will pull you. Like that was like mind blowing to me, because a lot of
That's
times
good.
when I'm talking to women and they're telling me their vision is not something that's pulling them. And what I find out is that there's somebody else, or maybe society or pressure or family, that's pushing them to pursue things that they're not really passionate about. And that's why they're struggling to make it happen. Or they have this desire, this dream, ambition, but their mindset is really, really small. And their mindset, they're having a hard time seeing beyond where they are. And therefore, they're having a hard time getting to where they want to be. And so
Yeah.
those two things can keep us really stuck versus going after those things and achieving our own level of success.
You know, speaking about being stuck, this is something that you address in your book. People being stuck on their goals. Talk to us about that. I know I've been there. I think that everything has to be set in place, or you work towards the same goal for however long it takes, because that is what you are supposed to do, because you're goal oriented. It even sounds good. And then, you know, there are like all these 10-step books on how to goal this or goal that. And I'm just like, okay, right. I think I am stuck. But you're you're helping people get unstuck. Talk to us about that and what that really looks like for people, and how they can overcome, you know, being so married to their goal and not really the
Yeah.
result.
I think sometimes people can be stuck for different reasons. Someone might be stuck because their goal requires them, and let me rephrase, any goal that you set should require you to evolve and do things that you're uncomfortable with. Otherwise, it's something that's just a to-do list item. Like, people set goals without realizing that the whole purpose of the goal is to grow you and develop you and help you get to the next level. And so there's like this disconnect. I'm setting a goal that's going to help me get to the next level, but I want to try to get to the next level as the person that I am today. And that doesn't work. Anytime that you try to pursue a new goal with an old mindset, you're going to find yourself stuck. And so I'm really an advocate of helping people elevate their mindset to align with the goal that they're trying to go after before they actually get there. And once you do that, it becomes very, very easy to start executing on those things. So the big reason that most people get stuck goes back to their mindset, and their mindset can create fear, a lack of self-confidence, doubt, second guessing, perfectionism, procrastination. All of those tends to be rooted in fear. And all of those things tend to come from your mindset. So if you can learn how to elevate your mindset, which I talk about in the book too, because I think a lot of times people say, shift your mindset. It's all about your mindset. But then no one gives you a process on how do you actually change it. Like, yeah, I know my mindset is holding me back. What do I need to do? And so they end up just saying a whole bunch of affirmations that they don't believe, and therefore they don't even get a different result. So I'm a big believer in teaching people how to elevate their mindset before they go after their goals, which then makes the execution piece really, really easy.
You can just drop the mic right here and we can be done. Or we can continue to have this conversation and my mind just be blown over and over again. That is golden. So many of us repeat affirmations, know them verbatim, but we do not believe. Oh my, you are the real deal, L'Areal. You really are. I want to shift the conversation just a bit, because you have just been so on point and eloquent in sharing these resources with us, right? But, you know, I opened up talking about these really uncertain times that we're living in, and they're very real for us. So many of us have these ideas and businesses and whatever else within us that we're carrying. We want to birth these things, but this uncertainty is weighing on us. We're not really sure if this is the time, or we don't have as much time as we think we do, as, you know, it is advertised on social media, and there's a lot of pressure for people to create, but they just don't know where to start. What advice do you have for people who are in that place as they think about, you know, what it is that they want to contribute, or how they can work on their vision so that they can execute during this time or even after COVID-19?
I think that the thing about how we started off the year was everybody was saying, you know, this is the year 2020 vision. Like, I have perfect vision. And all of that sounds really good. But the reality is that most of the times we get clarity when we get pushed to be uncomfortable or there's chaos. And right now there's a bunch of chaos there. Like you said, there's a bunch of uncertainty. There's this new normal. And there's a lot of people who will then shut down versus looking at this as an opportunity to get crystal clear about what it is that's important to them. And so when I started seeing people say like cancel, you know, 2020 is canceled or we could cancel 2020, that said to me that the things that people said they wanted to accomplish really weren't that important. Because what it did for me was when I looked at my vision board, when I looked at my goals, when I looked at the things I said I wanted to accomplish in 2020, it gave me clarity on the things that were top priority. And so that's the first thing I would say is first, let's get clear about those things that are really, really important to you. And if you hadn't gotten clarity through this situation, then like, I don't know how else you're going to get clear, right? This should bring to the forefront the things that are really important to you. The second thing, I think that there's this idea that you have to work on your goals 24/7. And I just don't subscribe to that. I tell people if you can commit just 60 minutes a day to working towards your goals, that is what 365 hours in a year. Like there's absolutely nothing that you can't accomplish. So I don't prescribe to this deal where you always have to be working and you always have to be grinding. You always have to I don't think that people can sustain that. Plus we have real lives.
Right.
You know, and especially right now where people are working from home, they're trying to, like you said, create, they may have a full-time job, plus this business that they're trying to do, plus teaching their kids. Like you don't have as much time as you mentioned that social media portrays. But if you can commit 60 minutes of just pure execution, pure focus on your goals, purely making your vision and goals a priority, like you would be amazed how much you can get accomplished. So first, get clear about what it is that you truly want in this season. And it's okay to let some stuff go. Right? You may have decided that at the beginning of the year there was like 20 things that you wanted to get done, which is number one, way too many. But you may have gotten clarity that out of those 20, there's really only three that you really, really want to pursue. I'm an advocate of having less goals that are more meaningful than have a ton of things that you say you want to go after that mean nothing to you. So get really clear on the things that are top priority and then make time for yourself every single day. Like I book an appointment with myself every single day. And this is time that is dedicated just to me. And that may require you to get up early. That may require for you to execute on your lunch break. That may require you to do your 60 minutes when your kids have gone to bed. But you need to spend 60 minutes a day on your goals. That's it. Don't let social media pressure you into thinking that you need to be working 24/7 to be successful. You know, one of the big things that I've realized, because the working 24/7, being a goal-getter, being ambitious, like that used to be like my mindset. And I felt like if I wasn't being quote unquote productive, then like what was I doing with my life? And I had this moment of clarity where I realized that life isn't meant to be accomplished. It's meant to be experienced. Right. And so once I had that clarity, it helped me get crystal clear on the things that are most important to me. And then I have this power hour, 60 minutes a day. I'm super, super focused on the things that are going to move the needle. I'm super, super focused on the things that are getting me closer to my goal. But I don't need to do that 24/7. And so that kind of shifts your perspective and it helps you realize the things that are really most important to you. So get rid of that to-do list that's like 30 miles long. Right?
Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I'm about to go straight line.
I don't do to-do lists anymore. I have what I call my hit list. And my hit list stands for high impact task, right? I only have 3 things a day. What are my top 3 things on my hit list? Like if it's not going to move the needle, if it's not going to get me closer to my goal, I'm probably not going to do it. Or, you know, that may go to like my endless list of to-do lists, but my high impact tasks are the things that are related to my goals that I must get done for the day. I do those first, and then I take care of everything else.
That's good. That is so good. I've heard people say
Yep.
eat the frog first, and I never really liked that that phrase. I don't know, maybe it's the frog and the idea of eating it. I'm just not with it, but I like
Hit.
this hit list. I like that. I like that a lot. I hope someone is taking notes because that is really good information. You know, I have yet to ask you about what a get my life moment has been for you. And I'm so curious. But what I also think is interesting is that a lot of your work, you know, was really with
Mm-hmm.
men and you've shifted to focusing on women. And we're living in a time where so many women are like, hey, us, look at us, look at us. Where did that shift come from? And was that tied possibly to a get my life moment that you had even professionally?
Yes. So, before I went full time with the Woman with Vision, I spent 10 years doing sales training and consulting. And so I worked for the largest sales training company in the world, and I was based out of Dallas. And like you said, 95% of my clients were um, not just men, but were white men. And I ain't gonna lie, I was killing it in that space, right? I knew how to finesse it. I knew how to close
Yes.
deals. I was training sales teams all over the world, and that is actually my second business. So you mentioned I have two businesses. So I've gone back to doing sales training and consulting, and so that's my second business. But that's where I spent 10 years and really building my career and my brands. And what made me shift was I realized that I had access to so much information. I had access to so many resources. I was kind of quote unquote in the club, right? In the inner circle. And I was like, man, what would happen if I could share all the things that I've learned, all the kind of behind the scenes with women, and give them access to some of the information that I'm getting. And so that's why I made that pivot. And I really felt, and if I just be honest, it wasn't even just like me. It was really more like that God thing where God was like, okay, I'm shifting you. And I was like, hold on. I don't really know how well I do
Mm.
with women because I work predominantly with men. And I just felt this calling and this pull. And so that's when I made the shift and the decision to really share all of the experience and knowledge that I've gained with women. And I would say the kind of get my life moment happened for me, ironically, when I was cooking one evening. And my son, he was 2 at the time, and he came running around the corner and he is just screaming. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm trying to see if the dog is chasing him, trying to figure out what's going on. And I realized that he was scared because he saw his shadow for the first time. And so here he
Oh,
is,
wow.
just turned 2, and he sees this bigger version of himself like behind him. So he's scared
Mm.
because he doesn't know what it is. And so as a mom, I start trying to explain to him. So I'm like, baby, it's just a bigger version of yourself. And he is still like not trying to hear me. And so I laughed, right? Just like you did. And then I had this moment of conviction because I realized that
Hmm.
I've been just like him. And I think we've all had this
Oh, my goodness.
experience where we're just minding our own business and then we see our shadow, which is this bigger version of ourselves and who we could be and what we're capable of and what's truly possible. And a lot of us do exactly what he did and we run. And so I felt this moment
Mm,
of
mm,
conviction
mm,
because
mm.
God had already told me to start shifting. And he had been showing me this bigger version of myself for years. But I was scared. So I was running. And so in that moment, I decided to stop running and start stepping into that bigger version of myself. So I would say that's kind of my get my life moment on a Tuesday night cooking spaghetti and having that
Mm.
experience with my son, but realizing that that moment was for me to see myself and so
Oh.
that I could stop running
Hmm.
from what I was called to do and actually step into it.
I just had to let it breathe. L'Ariel, you know how you laugh when you like can just not find another response. Like my spirit was tickled because I too was convicted. You said we realize, right, and I'm paraphrasing, there's a bigger version of ourselves and we become afraid and run from it. Okay, raise your hand if that is you or has been you at any point in your life. Both of my hands are raised right now. That right there is nothing but the truth. The things we learn from children is it's amazing, right? When we have the hearts to learn from and like children, the lessons, they come to us, I believe, the way the Most High wants them to. And the fact that you had that moment and you're sharing it with us means that you heeded to the call and that was what was needed, because you just spoke to me. Oh my goodness. I don't remember realizing my shadow for the first time, but I do remember being startled by it, or startled by the idea of having to pivot or just pay more attention to myself in the space that I am supposed to occupy. That is a word, L'Ariel. That is a word.
And I think we've all been there, right? And even since that moment, I think we all have. Even if we're setting goals the way we should be setting goals, and if we're pursuing our vision the way we should be pursuing it, I think we're all find ourselves in that moment where we go, okay, this feels bigger than me. And a lot of times in those moments, we'll shrink and we'll focus on all the reasons we don't feel we're qualified, or all the reasons that we don't feel ready, or all the reasons why right now isn't the right time. Versus if we shift our mindset and say, but what if it is? What would it look like if I stepped into that? And I'll be honest, it can be scary. Realizing your own potential can be scary, right? Sometimes it feels comfortable and it feels safe playing small because no one sees you, and you don't have to be accountable to anybody. But when you realize like what you're truly capable of, and I think this is for anybody, what you're truly capable of, if you stepped into it, well, I mean, it's just mind blowing, and it's going to be scary. And I think sometimes we have this kind of message that we put out there that you have to be fearless, and that if you have a sense of fear, that there's something wrong with you. And I just don't advocate for that message. I'm a big believer that it's not that fear. It's not that the problem isn't the fear. The problem is how most of us react to it. And I think that's really important because there's been moments where I've been terrified, I've been nervous, I've been uncomfortable. And if I felt like, wow, you have to be fearless, I wouldn't have done it. Right. But I knew that it was okay to be nervous. It was okay to be scared. That meant that I was doing something that was challenging me to grow up and grow into who I needed to become. And then giving myself permission to actually do that and fell along the way has been just transformational for me. And so if anybody's listening and you've been kind of struggling with, I've seen my shadow. I know that there's a bigger version of myself. I know there's something that I'm called to do, but I'm scared. And now I need to wait until I'm confident and ready. Don't wait until you're confident and ready, because you'll be waiting forever, right? The only way that you feel confident and ready is after you do it. And so feel the fear and do it anyway.
How many times are you going to drop the mic? I am a big believer of doing things afraid. I really am, because that is one of the best ways we get in our own ways. Just standing in fear and believing it and crowning, the lies that we believe about ourselves. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. My goodness. Okay, look, we have covered so much, and I honestly could talk to you all day, but our schedules will not permit for that. And I'm sure people who are tuned in are probably just wanting more. But we have come to the point on this stop of the tour where it is time for you to drop the mic. And I just asked you, how many times are you going to drop the mic? You literally just have to drop it one more time, even though I would love for you to continuously just pick it up and drop it, pick it up and drop it. Right. But we have this moment on the Get My Life tour where guests leave it all on the stage. And I feel like you have left us with so much, but there's just one more thing that just might be pressing on your heart. So I'll give you a second to think about it. But when you have it, the stage is yours.
I think, and I'm gonna keep it simple. The thing that I would say to anybody listening would be to be willing to outgrow yourself. I think sometimes we get so accustomed to who we've been that we don't give ourselves the permission and grace to grow into the person that we can become. And so we always end up kind of looking at our life from the sidelines. And I know for a long time that's how I felt. I felt like I was living someone else's life. And I even felt at times that I had experienced some level of success according to other people's standards, but I wasn't fulfilled. And so I had to start learning how to constantly outgrow myself, unlearn some of the things that I had been taught, and really give myself permission to evolve. And so that's the big thing I would say, whether it's going after your vision, going after that dream, writing that book, starting that business, travel, like whatever it is that you desire to pursue, give yourself permission to outgrow who you've been, to realize who it is that you can truly become.
There you have it. You have been such a resource. I've taken notes and I am truly in awe of the woman who you are. I'm so glad that you take your calling seriously and that you're helping others, get their lives, figure out their visions and show up, for themselves. The work that you are doing is so key. So
And
thank you
thank you
so
for having
much.
me.
You are more than welcome. I'm certain that people are curious about how it is that they can stay in touch with you. So please let them know
Okay,
how
so
they can do
I
so.
am a woman with vision on all platforms. So you can find me on Instagram at a woman with vision, and you can go to my website. Also a woman with vision.com. If you want to grab the book, it's A Woman with Vision, right? So I keep it simple. So if you're looking for additional resources on how do you get clear about that vision, how do you create the plan, how do you change your mindset, so that you can actually execute your goals, make sure you follow me at A Woman with Vision.
Lovely. And as always, to stay connected with the Get My Life Tour, do so by going to thegetmylifetour.com, following us on all social platforms at the Get My Life Tour. If you want to be connected with me, follow me at Lydia T. Blanco on all social platforms. And you know what? Continue to show up for yourself. Implement that strategy. Come up with your vision. Or you know what? Let's just go with L'Oreal's step. Let's get your mind right first, right? And then let's work on that vision. Either way it goes, make sure that you are creating the life that you want to live. L'Oreal, I have to thank you again before we sign off. Thank you for showing up the way
Thank
that you
you.
did today. You are more than welcome. Until the next time, I will see you on the next stop of the Get My Life Tour. It has been real. Peace.